at 3:55 p.m. this afternoon, Whitney Houston was pronounced at the Beverly Hilton Hotel.
Ray J was either the most convenient scapegoat in Hollywood history or the most calculating liar. 12 years after Whitney Houston's tragedy, the evidence still doesn't add up, and neither does his story. We've heard every version by now, that he was her secret love, her emotional lifeline, even her downfall. But when the cameras stopped rolling, when the reports were filed, and when the accusations started flying, one thing became clear. The truth about what happened to Whitney and the truth about what happened to Ray J afterward might not be the same story at all.
But there's a innocence with jumping to conclusion, and you can kind of see why. Obviously, there's similarities in names, but that was not you.
I was nowhere to be found.
Right.
And I hate talking about it because I got so much love for her. I've never seen her in that state.
Yeah.
They never, so to make me that person when I wasn't even there, and then to put on top of that, but I just solely just got away with it.
The day was February 11th, 2012. Whitney Houston was found in her Beverly Hilton suite just one night before the Grammy Awards, a moment that froze an entire generation of fans in disbelief. The official report would later call it an accidental drowning, listing heart complications and traces of certain substances as contributing factors. By the record, Ray J was nowhere near the hotel. He was performing in San Diego, preparing to meet Whitney at Clive Davis's pre-Grammy party the next night. But within hours, that alibi meant nothing. The story had already shifted. That same evening, Bobby Brown's sister Leola appeared on national television and pointed the finger squarely at him. She told Dr. Drew on HLN that Ray J was Whitney's so-called runner boy, implying he was the one bringing substances to her suite. The accusation spread like wildfire. No police report, no witness, no proof. Just a televised claim that instantly turned a performer into a villain. By sunrise, blogs and gossip sites had latched onto the theory that Ray J had been seen leaving the Beverly Hilton. The image of a man with his head down, avoiding cameras, was enough for audiences to decide guilt. We can trace that smear campaign almost minute by minute. TMZ ran early segments hinting that Ray J had been involved. The National Enquirer printed what it said was a photograph of Whitney's body on a gurney, a picture that was later proven to be her daughter Bobby Christina leaving the hotel under a sheet. Meanwhile, a string of independent vloggers edited stock footage to make it appear Ray J had been sneaking out of the lobby. Within 48 hours, his reputation was destroyed. He hadn't even issued a statement yet.
When I pull up, I got my shoes. I'm ready to go to the event. I just talked to her on the phone. This there no more. It's over. And Ray, who was her bodyguard, he found her. And he called me. CNN says Ray J found her. And then 10 minutes later, oh no, Ray, her bodyguard. That shit's 10 minutes later, bro. You get what I'm saying?
But the public never got the other side of the timeline, the part where he actually tried to reach Whitney that day. In interviews since, Ray J has explained that he was on the phone with her only hours before the tragedy. He said he had just picked up his shoes and was preparing to attend the Clive Davis event together. When he arrived at the hotel, the story was already over. "I was nowhere to be found, and I hate talking about it because I have so much love for her," he told the Funky Friday podcast years later. His words sounded sincere, but they also raised a question. If he was innocent, why wait over a decade to defend himself?
And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobby Christina was present for some of that fight.
The answer might lie in how fast Hollywood can turn grief into spectacle. In the months after Whitney's passing, Ray J became a pariah. Producers stopped calling. Online mobs labeled him a dealer, a manipulator, a man who exploited one of the most beloved voices in music history. Even when no law enforcement agency ever linked him to any wrongdoing, the perception stuck. For many viewers, perception was enough. But behind that cloud of scandal, his own actions started feeding the narrative. Less than a year before Whitney's tragedy, Ray J had been arrested in Las Vegas after an altercation at a party hosted by Diddy. Witnesses described him as agitated, unsteady, and emotionally volatile. He was briefly detained and released, but insiders later said that his temper and erratic conduct were warning signs that something was breaking down. When the tragedy struck in 2012, critics connected the dots. They began asking whether his volatility and the accusations could be linked. And then came 2024. More than a decade later, Ray J finally used the word haunted. Sitting with Pastor Jamal Bryant, he confessed that Whitney's memory didn't make him sad. It haunted him. It was a strange choice of language for a man who still insists on his innocence. He also admitted in the same conversation that after losing her, he turned to heavy substances for the first time in his life. "I tried hard stuff after that happened," he said, describing how he spiraled in the weeks following. The public heard that and immediately divided again. Was this the guilt of a man wrongly accused or the unraveling of someone who knew more than he ever revealed?
The way they made that scene, is so haunting to me. Here's why. I wasn't even there. I was nowhere around.
Where were you?
I was in San Diego doing a show.
Okay.
For those who defend him, the story is simple. A grieving partner, scapegoated by a grieving family, and crushed by the same media machine that once made him famous. They point to the autopsy, which never mentioned his name, and to the FBI's refusal to reopen the case despite online petitions. They highlight how Whitney's own entourage included far more suspicious figures, people like Raffles Van Exel, the self-styled Hollywood fixer accused of leaking the photo of her body. None of that implicated Ray J directly, yet the smear against him persisted year after year, each time Whitney's anniversary returned. But skeptics see a darker pattern. They note that even now in his mid-40s, Ray J can't seem to avoid controversy. When he appeared in a 2025 documentary about Diddy's legal troubles, he hinted that celebrities were paying off victims to stay silent. "Somebody pays you to keep it quiet," he said, before abruptly stopping himself, saying he had said too much. To many, that looked like a man tangled in secrets, someone who knows far more than he's ever admitted, perhaps about more than one powerful figure in the industry.
If you look on all my comments,
Yes.
every time I go live, anything, you hit me.
Okay.
That happens in spam.
Now speak your truth on that.
Here's the truth. It's not my truth. It's just certain times when narratives are going to the moon, that's not true. Everybody has you have to go and you have to shut certain things down.
Right.
What makes his connection to Whitney so unnerving is how tightly it overlaps with that same world of secrecy. Whitney's last weekend alive was surrounded by industry elites preparing for Clive Davis's annual gala, a who's who of the music business that Diddy himself attended. Multiple insiders have long alleged that both Whitney and Ray J were part of a smaller circle of entertainers who drifted around to those same private after-hours gatherings where substances flowed freely and reputations disappeared overnight. None of it can be proven, but the timing, Whitney's relapse, Ray J's breakdown, and the resurfacing of Diddy's name in recent legal chaos keeps those rumors alive. We can't ignore the psychological toll this took on him. In interviews throughout 2024 and early 2025, he described waking up in cold sweats, unable to shake the image of her hotel room. Friends have said he's obsessed with proving his innocence, calling late-night producers to demand airtime and threatening legal action against bloggers. At the same time, his erratic outbursts online, cryptic posts about demons in Hollywood, and his willingness to speak on explosive topics like Diddy's alleged freak-offs only fuel suspicion that guilt is eating him alive. Meanwhile, figures close to Whitney's family have never fully let go of their suspicions. Leola Brown has repeated as recently as 2024 that she believes Whitney and Bobby Christina were both victims of foul play, suggesting a chain of exploitation and control that started years earlier. In her telling, Ray J was part of that ecosystem, a pawn or a player depending on who's asked. The lack of closure and the eerie similarity of both mother and daughter being found in bathtubs keeps those theories circulating. Each new interview from Ray J, instead of silencing the noise, only adds new layers of contradiction.
I believe that there are several people that wanted Bobby Christina, but I think the purpose of her was to gain full access to Whitney Houston's estate.
By now, the public has heard every possibility. Either Ray J was the innocent target of a grieving family's rage, or he was part of a machinery that used Whitney until she was spent and then erased the evidence. What we're left with is a trail of broken narratives, a Las Vegas fight, a haunting confession, a timeline that never quite aligns, and a man who still says he was nowhere to be found. Yet questions remain that no one has dared to answer on record. If Ray J truly wasn't there that night, then who was in and out of that suite before the paramedics arrived? And if every other suspect has vanished into silence, why has no one else ever been held accountable? That night, the story should have ended with Whitney's autopsy report, but instead, a new thread began to pull at the seams of Ray J's life, one that would stretch all the way into 2024. During a TMZ documentary titled The Downfall of Diddy, Ray J made a statement that instantly reignited the whispers surrounding him. He claimed that powerful entertainers were quietly paying off alleged victims to keep their names out of it. It was a throwaway comment on camera, almost casual, but those words landed like a grenade. Because suddenly, it wasn't just about Diddy's legal nightmare. If hush money was part of the game in one corner of the industry, could it have been used in Whitney's case too? We've watched Ray J stumble through enough interviews to know when he's nervous. His eyes dart, his tone tightens, and then he shuts down completely as he did that day. "I don't even know why I just said it, but I said it," he muttered before clamming up. The timing was impossible to ignore. Just months earlier, he'd told fans on social media that he felt haunted by secrets that weren't his to tell. Some insiders now believe that comment about payoffs wasn't an accident. It was a cry for help. Maybe Ray J wasn't hinting at Diddy alone. Maybe he was hinting at the night that ruined both his image and his soul. When we dig through the record, it's clear Ray J was never officially named in any investigation into Whitney's passing. But the silence around him feels deliberate. Industry sources say he signed multiple NDA agreements after 2012, reportedly to protect the privacy of certain executives connected to the Beverly Hilton event that weekend. That means for over a decade, he couldn't legally address rumors tying him to Whitney's final hours. Yet we know how the industry works. Silence doesn't protect innocence, it buries it. And in this case, it buried him alive.
Did you ever witness her doing?
Whitney?
Yes.
I don't want to talk about that
Say less.
because then it's like, I can never put it like this. I'm way younger, bro.
Mm-hmm.
She's in control, bro. She's Whitney. She's a boss. And so to make me the big dog, I'm not the big dog, bro. I'm the little I'm the little homie.
But can I preface this too, though?
By early 2025, that silence finally cracked in public. During a Twitch livestream, rayj broke down mid-conversation saying, "I feel alone, like no one really saw me." It was one of those moments where viewers didn't know whether to comfort him or call for help. On the surface, he was talking about cancel culture, but the emotion behind it was raw. He was talking about being erased, blamed, forgotten. When we replay that clip now, it sounds less like self-pity and more like confession. But while rayj was drowning in accusations, Whitney's family was rewriting the story in real time. Pat Houston, her sister-in-law and manager, told Oprah that Whitney was looking for love in all the wrong places. The audience understood the subtext. She meant rayj. Yet Pat also insisted Whitney had been clean and focused in her final days. The contradiction was staggering. The coroner's report confirmed traces of white powder and prescription substances in her system. If she was sober, how did those chemicals appear? If she wasn't, who supplied them? Every path led back to the same names. Then there was Bobby Brown, Whitney's ex-husband, who took the opposite stance entirely. He refused to accept that substances played a role at all, claiming she was just brokenhearted. We're left wondering, brokenhearted over what or whom? If the heartbreak wasn't about her career, was it about rayj? And if Bobby truly believed her end wasn't caused by substance use, why didn't he push for a deeper investigation into what really happened in that hotel suite?
Right. Especially with this to give perspective. Did you guys do?
I've never done one with Whitney. And then when asked me, did Whitney do drugs? I mean, you don't gotta, there's certain things you can ask me and I'll tell you about me. But you don't gotta ask the other question because you already know, it's Whitney. Everybody knows certain answers.
Even within the family, the stories didn't align. Leola Brown, Bobby's sister, appeared on television mere hours after the tragedy, calling rayj a runner boy. But she hadn't spoken to Whitney in over a year. According to reports, she wasn't even in LA that weekend. So why was she treated as a credible voice? Maybe because the media needed a villain, and rayj was the easiest one available. He was famous enough to draw headlines, but disposable enough to destroy. The deeper we look, the more the official timeline unravels. Insiders from the Beverly Hilton staff told journalists that multiple visitors went in and out of Whitney's room during the 48 hours before the incident. Some of them high-profile names from the same circles now under scrutiny in the Diddy investigation. One former security worker even claimed that surveillance footage showing those movements disappeared before police arrived. If that's true, someone had both access and motive to clean up the scene before it became a scandal. And the only person left exposed afterward was rayj. In hindsight, the smear campaign against him feels orchestrated. Think about it. Within 12 hours of the news breaking, cable networks had clips ready, headlines scripted, and a full-blown villain narrative set in motion. The speed of that coverage was unnatural. PR teams can spin a story fast, but not that fast, unless it's already been prepared. Could someone have used rayj's reputation as a convenient shield, knowing the public would believe any story about the man once linked to a viral tape? By mid-2025, rayj's breakdowns became more frequent. In one of the most unsettling confessions yet, he revealed that shortly after Whitney's passing, he climbed to the roof of a hotel in Cancun and stood on the edge for nearly an hour. "I didn't want to be here," he admitted during a Twitch session that left fans speechless. He said he felt trapped by a story he couldn't escape. The statement struck like thunder. This wasn't about heartbreak. It was about being cornered, whether by guilt or by pressure. Something inside him was breaking under the weight of secrets he could never speak.
People said to me, the one thing that they heard over and over again, that you were the one that led Whitney to heavy use. That you were the one.
It wasn't me. It started her. I take my part, and I take it hard for me even being a part of it.
And that's when the speculation took a darker turn. If hush money really was flowing through the industry, as rayj claimed, who was paying whom? Could it be that Whitney's tragedy was tied to the same network of secrecy now unraveling around Diddy? It's no coincidence that many of the same faces, managers, promoters, security firms, appeared in both stories. A few of those names even surfaced in lawsuits years later, accused of arranging questionable parties and cleaning up the aftermath. rayj might have walked into something much bigger than a love affair gone wrong. We also can't forget that he was trying to rebuild his life during this chaos. He had family, businesses, and a reputation to defend. But every attempt at redemption, every podcast, every tearful interview seemed to backfire. When he opened up about trying hard substances for the first time after Whitney's passing, critics called it manipulation. When he said he still loved her, tabloids called it hypocrisy. And when he finally said he felt haunted, they called it an admission. It's as if the industry decided long ago that his truth would never be enough. Meanwhile, conspiracy theories only multiplied. A private investigator once claimed to have video evidence that Whitney had been targeted by dealers over unpaid debts. The FBI never confirmed that footage, but the idea stuck. And in the public imagination, Ray J somehow became the link between Whitney's habits and the people she allegedly owed. Even years later, when he sat down on the Funky Friday podcast and swore, "I was not there. That's the biggest cap I've ever heard." Few were convinced. Once you've been cast as the villain, innocence becomes irrelevant. Now, with Diddy behind bars and the entertainment industry scrambling to distance itself from decades of unchecked behavior, we can see why Ray J's old words suddenly matter again. His claim that somebody pays you to keep it quiet reads less like gossip and more like a confession from a man who's seen too much. If his silence was purchased once before, maybe it's no longer under contract. And if he really does know the truth about what happened in that hotel suite, his fear might not be of exposure. It might be of survival.
But when you know the truth, why do you have to jump out there and try to tell it to everybody? So I didn't care about what people were saying at first.
But I think it's important that you use this platform, because one of the things that I was gonna hit on is, number one, you mentioned murder, right?
12 years later, the story still refuses to rest. Whitney's legend lives in her voice, but her shadow lingers in the contradictions left behind. Ray J's every attempt to tell his side only deepens the mystery. Each confession sounds like an ending, yet somehow leads to another beginning. His tears on Twitch weren't just the breakdown of a man, they were the breaking point of a decade-long cover-up that no one has dared to untangle. And so, we're left with one question that refuses to fade. Was Ray J the victim of a ruthless smear campaign, or was he the one man who knew exactly how far the truth really went? Because if he wasn't framed, then he was complicit. And if he was framed, then the people who did it are still walking free. Either way, his life was shattered the night Whitney's ended, and the scars have never healed.
I love Whitney. I was with Whitney every day. She was one of the most important people to me. Is it saying that I was in the room when she died? Bro, that's the biggest cap I've ever heard. I've heard it since the beginning.
So what do we believe now? Was Ray J haunted by guilt or silenced by power? Tell us what you think below, because somewhere between love, fame, and fear, the truth is still waiting to be heard. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, Hollywood never tells the whole story. It only tells the one we're meant to see.